Okay, can you hear me clearly now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Cross River Movement Volunteer Onboarding. Onboarding for the Volunteer Engagement Program. We're actually so excited to have everyone on board, and we understand that it's not everyone who are able to join this onboarding session. And like we had mentioned, it's a very important step in your volunteer experience with the Cross River Movement. However, we would not necessarily wait for everybody, but we can always go on and ensure that other people are brought up to speed with what has happened here today. So thank you so much, Mr. Bassi. Thank you, Kennedy Omojefe, for the entire team for putting this up. So I would basically move from here and allow Mr. Bassi to take on the floor, where he will talk to us about the Cross River Movement, why the Cross River Movement, and talk about the vision and what the Cross River Movement is about. So Mr. Bassi, you have the floor. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much for introducing me. Thank you, Kennedy, also. I believe you guys can hear me clearly. Can you?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, excellent. All right, so I'm just going to run through a couple of slides just to give you an idea of the vision and mission of the Cross River Movement. And just to also say thank you very much to everyone who's signed up to be a volunteer. I think you signed up for something good, and hopefully it's the beginning of quite an exciting journey. All right, so about the Cross River Movement. So TCRM stands for the Cross River Movement, and it's basically non-governmental. It's not for profit. So we've not set this up for anybody's financial benefit, and we're non-partisan as well. So some of the things that we do, may touch on a bit of politics, but whatever participation we have in the political processes would always be entirely non-partisan. And we're focused on improving the quality of governance in Cross River State. All right, so what's our vision? So our vision, is to create a society where every individual has equal access to opportunities, rights, and freedoms through the establishment of transparent, accountable, and effective governance systems across the entire state. So you would notice that there are some keywords in there, society, equal access to opportunities, rights, freedoms, transparency, accountability, and of course, whatever we do, so the focus is on Cross River State. Right. So in terms of our mission, so what's the essence of our existence? What is it that we seek to do? And it's to empower people and communities to participate in decision-making processes that affect their lives, and to promote ethical, responsible, and responsive leadership that serves the public interest of Cross River State. So it's very much about the commons, about what's in the best interest of Cross Riverians. So that's our mission, that's our vision and our mission. So on there, is just some text around why good governance. And what I'm about to say may be, as far as what I'm saying, it's more about perception, but I believe that the figures would actually back it up. I feel that if you look back on the history of Cross River State, over the last 30 years, I think that administrations that have given a priority to things like, listening to what the people are saying, being more accountable to the people, being more transparent before the people of the state, those administrations, I think, are the ones under which we as a country as a state have fared better. Governance is important. Good governance particularly is very important, because whether people are elected or appointed, they hold governance in trust, really. They're given the trust of the people And it's important that the people hold the government accountable. So, hitherto, there's been that tendency to think that, oh yeah, once they're there, they can do whatever it is that they want to do, and we don't have a say. But it's very important for us to redress that mindset and to realize that good governance is about the synergy between the government and the people and the citizenry. So we have a part to play, and what we want to do with TCRM is to bridge that gap, help to bring the citizens closer to the government and the government closer to the citizens as well. Okay, so there are 4 elements that, good governance that we focus on. And these are accountability, responsiveness, transparency, and stakeholder engagement. So accountability, like I said earlier, whether people are voted for, whether they're elected or they're appointed, whatever it is that they hold it in trust. And they are actually there to serve, the people of the state. So they must be accountable to us. We must be able to ask them questions. We must be able to, to express our ideas, express our opinions about the things that they are doing. And, they need to be able to come back and say, oh, this is what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it. Ultimately, that's, a very important aspect of governance. They must be responsive. Government is powerful. Okay, so the Constitution does vest power in whether it's a governor and a local government chairman, or other elected officials. And so there are certain things that we have to depend on them to do. So an example would be refuse disposal, for example. That's a service that the local government is supposed to provide to citizens, and it ought to be a timely service, because if it isn't, if there isn't that time sensibility, then you have garbage piling up on the streets, and then that becomes an eyesore, and then it also has health implications. Now, we need to have a government that is responsive. Something needs to be done, understand the urgency behind it, and take prompt action to to solve problems. Transparency is also very important. If they are responsible for budgeting and for expenditure of public resources, then it is very important that government is accountable. And governments in Nigeria tend not to be very transparent, but we can actually partner with government to sometimes the issues around transparency may not necessarily be that there's an intention to obscure information. Many times they may be, but sometimes it may just be that governments are just not really aware about how best to make information accessible and basically make things more transparent. So that's one of the areas where we think that we can make a difference. And then stakeholder engagement, obviously very important. Society is multidimensional. You've got you've got people, you've got male, female, binary level. You've got people in different walks of life. You've got young people. You've got so society is very diverse, and it is important that there's very good stakeholder engagement with stakeholders, especially when it comes to developing policies and even developing laws as well. So these are 4 areas, and we've come up with a nice acronym there called ARTS. So that would help you to remember accountability, responsiveness, transparency, and stakeholder engagement. I think that probably rounds up my slides. So I'll hand it back to you, Edidion.
Okay, so thank you very much. That was very explanatory and what we're doing. So in addition to what we're doing at TCRM, we have an approach that we use, and that is in our programs, research, partnerships, volunteer engagement, technology, and media. And I'll just briefly go through them one after the other. So our approach via partners, via programs. Under programs, we have three programs that we have that is currently ongoing, which started at the, some of our initiatives, we started at the beginning of, we started when we actually began TCRM, and that's the Cross River Movement, or TCRM Conversations with Esau Bassi. TCRM Conversations with Esau Bassi is basically a virtual program that we get to engage members of government in discussing topical issues, where they get to talk about what's going on in government, give reports, answer questions that come from citizens, and conversations around very key topical issues like I've mentioned. Then we have the TCRM Talks. TCRM Talks is, okay, so please, I'm still on the approach slide, so you can kindly stay on that. Yeah, thank you very much. Still under our programs approach, we have TCRM Talks, which is a platform where we come on board and share ideas, brainstorm ideas that can contribute to charting the way forward for Cross Riverians and Cross River states. Then we have what we call interactive sessions. So interactive sessions started sometime last year, September 2022, where we had to engage candidates who were vying for different political positions, ranging from the governor of the state, governorship candidates to senatorial candidates. And at some point, we tried to engage candidates for lower seats, House of Reps and House and State House of Assembly, even though that didn't come through as much as we intended. So, but engaging governorship candidates and senatorial candidates was very meaningful in such a way that we were able to get to meet these candidates, know their promises and what they have in stock for Cross River State and for Cross Riverians should they emerge. So moving on, we're taking the interactive sessions to a different level where we would actually get to interact with those who eventually emerge. The elected candidates now, the elected officials now, and also try to bring them closer to the constituents, which are the people and stakeholders in different categories. So that's that for our programs. Now, most of our programs are run virtually, even though we're coming up with initiatives that will promote physical meetings, such as town hall meetings between stakeholders, between officials and the stakeholders. Yeah. Our other approach is research. We get to make findings about what government performance in order to track what they have done so far, in order to track if they're actually been responsive, and to also know if citizens are satisfied with what government is doing. Yeah, we carry out research and try to publish the content on across our media platforms. Then we engage in partnerships, productive partnerships. And so far, we've had partnerships from different sectors or from different categories, I would say. We've had media partners, funding partners, and advocacy partners. And these partners they don't only amplify what we do, but we work together in such a way that there is a balance. There is this support that we get from the partnership, which is them promoting what we do and we giving them a spotlight. So yeah, we're open to much partnerships in order to promote the objectives or the mission of the Cross River movement. And the first is volunteer engagement, which is what we have just launched out, our newest initiative, and we're so excited to have you guys on board. So the volunteer engagement would run in such a way that we're going to talk about that much later in the presentation, but it's run in such a way that the volunteers are, the ones bringing the initiative or coming up with initiatives that would drive good governance. So we give you an opportunity, a platform to take ownership of what, some aspect of the Cross River movement. And last is technology and media. We all understand the age in which we are, and we actually cannot do without using technology and media to drive advocacy around good governance. So these are our 5 key approaches, and I'll leave it on here for Kennedy Omojefe to talk intensively about the volunteer engagement program before I come back on board. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Didium, for that soft landing. I believe we all are abreast with a lot of the programs that we're going to be working on together as a team and a family. And that is why the TCRM of thought it now is to come up with this volunteer engagement program. And as the name stands, it's working with volunteers. This is also an initiative of the Cross River movement. So the mission is to drive the elements of good governance in Cross River, also as stated by Mr. Bassi. And I would like to also just highlight briefly who is a volunteer, because when we hear, I think a lot of us have heard the word volunteering, and I want to believe that maybe this is not our first, but even though this is our first, just recapping, volunteering is someone that commits to a cause, giving his time and services to ensure that that cause and that aim of the organization or the mission is accomplished. Volunteering comes with a lot of benefits, and which I will just mention a few of them. Apart from the sense of purpose, accomplishments that it brings towards helping accomplish the goal, you get to build your network, you get to learn various skills on the field. I myself have been a volunteer for a very long time, and I've been able to meet various people on the field, learn and hone my skills in various parts. Volunteering can also give you professional work experiences where, because a lot of people, when you want to apply for some forms, you see that volunteering actually counts, and it actually helps put people in forward and give them that opportunity to get selected for those roles. Because first of all, those who volunteer, it shows first of all that you are someone that has passion and someone that is committed to getting the goal done. So if you can give your time and your energy to working for the community without pay, it means that such a person actually is a very valuable person and can actually give his time towards doing more and achieving more in our community. So the next slide. So the objective of the volunteer engagement program includes to build a network of engaged citizens. So we want to bring together people that are going to be engaged and interested in good governance in Cross River State. So we want to engage the government, because one thing that I've noticed is that when you engage the government, actually, they actually own up and start doing work. So that's one of the key policies of volunteering engagement. We want to make sure we engage these citizens to be able to know their rights, learn of the things that they need to ask questions, how they are going to ask questions, and where they can be able to seek those answers for those questions. Also want to talk about improved governance transparency. So we would ask for those transparency, like Edidium said, we want our volunteers also to be able to come up with initiatives that also increase transparency. Let's ask our government questions. Let's bring them up. Let's just not leave them to run, because the truth is that a governor and those in public office are actually servants to the people. They are supposed to be serving the people. So it's like you employ somebody to run your company. In this case, you run your state. So you have to be able to ask the person some questions, what's happening and how it's happening, how is certain funds being spent, and how are they owning up to their duty. Also want to increase civic engagement. Is very nice. The thing is that the elite of today actually knows that a lot of people are ignorant of their role. And since we're all ignorant, we're asking questions that we should be asking our local government chairman to the governor. We're asking questions we're supposed to be asking the governor to the president. So we don't really understand what civic engagement is, who and who should be asking the correct questions. So they play around us. When you ask questions to this one, they take you to the next person. So no education is being done. So I want to make people understand what their civic engagement and what is through the civic education program. Then advocacy for policy change. And every economy is driven by policies. So if there are not good policies, we need to be able to speak up to enable the company, the country, the state to be able to thrive. So if we want our state and our community to thrive, we need good policies. So first of all, it comes to us knowing these policies and seeing, okay, which of these policies are against the people, which of these policies are not working for the benefit of the people. Recently, I think there's an ease of business and policies that's being passed at the national level. Also knowing some policy and helping advocate so that those kind of policies can be passed in the state level for the benefit of everyone in the state. So I want to promote citizen participation in good governance. So like the past election, we see there was an increase in the pool and a lot of citizens were willing to participate. So, over time, citizen apathy and a lot of interest is decreasing. So we want to let people understand that we must be able to participate actively. And we have learned that it's not just voting. You should be able to vote and be able to monitor the vote. And in short, be able to play our roles to continue to advocate. The work of advocacy is that we'll continue to press on till we see the change, which is we're trying to get good governance in Cross River State. So we'll have to maybe work on various strategies and keep trying till we have gotten that goal which we want to accomplish. Then we'll talk about the increased awareness of good governance principles. So there are principles of good governance, and when we engage with the governments and we engage with those people, with those government officials, when we're asking them questions, they will know that, okay, finally, these people are actually coming up and they're actually being able to ask questions. So those when we're asking questions, they say, okay, somebody's asking questions. So only the act of asking questions can actually allow them start sitting up and start developing things in place so that in case we come back and ask them question, what do you want to do? If they told us they want to do A, B, and C, so we'll come back and check whether have they done A, B, and C. So you see that to accomplish all these objectives, it is very important that I have our volunteers and those that are committed to the growth and development. So if you take me to the next slide, we will talk about our roles and objectives. So the roles and responsibilities of volunteers. So what are we to do as volunteers? As volunteers, we talk about publicity and marketing. So we want our volunteers to be able to promote events, promote programs, get people to join the platform, and learn about programs on time. Because when we're going to be having these conversations, maybe we're having a conversation with a local government chairman, we need awareness, and these volunteers are going to help us make sure that that is possible and to reach a wide range of people. Then we need new media relationship because social media is actually a way of engaging people. So we need to create content, blog, video, and I think video, one of the most way of promoting engagement nowadays. So doing content around good governance and how well we can promote good governance, conducting interview sections with those people to be managed by the volunteers. Also have the research team, which is their responsibility to conduct research, gather facts, and data analysis, because the truth is that data speaks very well when we are able to actually do the research. So we know exactly what the problem is, where the problem is coming from, and how we can advocate effectively. So the research team will be handling that. Then we have grant and proposal writing. So since this is an NGO, we actually run basically on, we need all the support that we can get, as even our support is coming from within. We also need support from outside where people can actually, who have this goal in mind, to be able to support this movement and be able to create a broader platform for everyone to be able to get the funds that we need to be able to secure and grow the organization. Then we talk about public relations. So we want to be able to exercise a place where we're developing and exercising public relations campaign, promoting good governance initiative, and crafting like press release and to various media outlets in times where it's needed. Then our community organizing. So in everything we are doing, we need to be able to engage with the community by developing leading grassroots initiatives that can actually go far. So I think one of those initiatives that was done last year was the I Love Cross River campaign, where we get people that who are actually interested in Cross River to carry out campaigns and exercises that demonstrated the love for campaign. And if you see those kind of campaign, it actually has a very good positive effect on the state. And as long as this is our state where we live in, where we serve in, for everyone coming, so it means that a better state is a better environment for all. So next slide, please. So then we'll talk about fundraising, supporting the organization in a lot of funding process by developing and exercising fundraising campaign. So we're going to engage in some fundraising campaigns, research grants, so because there are grants available that we can actually, which support this cause, and would raise grants to create donor communication where we'll be able to engage with other Cross Riverians who have the love of Cross River at hand. Like last year, various organizations benefited from these programs, and those things were donated by various Cross Riverians are actually being used today to promote advocacy, development, good governance, and even skill empowerment trainings for youth in various communities. So it's important that we continue to raise funds so that we can be able to accomplish these community engagement programs. Then last but not the least, talking about our advocacy, responsible for developing and implementing a strategy of advocacy for policy, where we talk about the laws that are on the land and that can promote good governance. So we want to make sure that there are adequate laws and being able to ask those questions so that people in governance can be able to take responsibility, as well as developing and delivering presentation and other materials to educate stakeholders. So relevant stakeholder meetings to educate them on the rules and things. So because what I understand working with governments is that they are willing to actually take good ideas. So if you are present them good ideas, the truth is that governments usually take and practice good ideas over time. When I've worked and presented them with ideas, the only thing that some people are afraid of just dropping their ideas, stealing their ideas. But at the long run, it's for the benefit of the states, which is why this movement is here. So we'll be developing roadmaps towards achieving good governments, which will be working together as the volunteers and as the team in those programs. So it's very delightful to welcome you all once again to this amazing program and the amazing team. And I know I'll be looking forward to working with a lot of you and making impacts with you in your community. So I'll be handing over again to Didion. It's Didion. Epic Vibe. Thank you, everyone.
Sorry, I don't know if it's just me, but Eddie, I'm not hearing you clearly. I don't know if it's just me.
Let me see. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes.
Okay. So I was just giving credence to Kennedy for taking us through what the volunteer engagement program is about. So I'll just go on to talk briefly about the art team. Now, the art team is, just like we heard from Mr. Bassi earlier, the art is an acronym for the aspect of governance, of monitoring good governance that we have with the cultural movement, and that's accountability, responsiveness, transparency, and stakeholder engagement. So basically, the art team are, the four groups, the four different groups that will be responsible for monitoring, assessing, tracking, and giving feedback in connection to how the government is, how accountable the government is, how responsive they are to citizens' demands and needs, and how transparent they are in the issues of making available the documents and government information to the public. And of course, stakeholder engagement, how well they fare in, when it comes to engaging with the constituency. So the arts team will be divided into four, and we have people to spearhead these groups. Now, we're not bringing in outsiders or friends and neighbors to spearhead the groups. We're going to have, there's going to be a process where we select a volunteer from each group, and this will be based on your interest. If you remember very well, the form that you filled, there was a place where you selected what you're interested in. Some selected multiple areas. I think we'll just need to streamline that down so that we can have more clarity and focus on what we're working on. So basically, the accountability watchers would be posed with the responsibility of monitoring government actions, ensuring that its action is, it is acting in the interest of the public, and assessing government reports on decisions and policies, and advocating for government reforms, and of course, stay informed about current issues and other duties that may come up. Now, the responsiveness team, like we already mentioned, you're assessing how responsive government is to the needs of the citizens and to the needs and feedback of the citizens, right? So you'll be analyzing government policies and initiatives and services as well. We'll be reviewing government response to citizens' complaint, and it might interest you to even know that there is no active platform where citizens can get to complain, and even if there is, just a small percentage of citizens are aware. So we would need our team to sort of publicize and ensure that people get to know that there is a place they can report or make complaints to, and work towards getting government to respond. But then we'll also work to gathering and analyzing data, investigating the degree to which government actually follows through their campaign promises. And this is particularly important. Now, we just we had to vote and elect leaders. Now, before that, we had, these candidates then going for campaigns in different states and communities and promising the people will do X, Y, Z, will do A, B, C if you vote for us. Now, this is a time to engage them and follow through to see how they would fulfill these promises and the degree to which they fulfill these promises. In fact, I think where you would even need to start from would be to track what were the promises that they made, right? So that way you can monitor to see the progress they are making and its impact on the citizens at the end of the day. So in Pidgin, someone will say, as you thought, right? So now that the elections are just over and most of these elected officials to be sworn in, it would be best to hit them back to back. Now, the transparency soldiers would work towards tracking the freedom of information the progress of the Freedom of Information Act, also evaluate access and clarity to government information, documents, and records. Now, you would know that if these records or information are not available to citizens, we would not be able to hold government to account. So these art acronyms, they work hand to hand, which that one is dependent on the other. So if we can't track government information, how can we hold them to account and say, this is what you said you would do, now do it, or why are you not doing it? We can't advocate properly for good governance, right? Now, we also evaluate government efforts to provide public access to information. I already mentioned that. Evaluate the efficiency and effectiveness of existing transparency measures. So government may have a way that they try to get the information available to people, but how effective are these initiatives and strategies? It will be left for us to assess and ensure that we hold them accountable to their toes, right? Then stakeholder engagement. It would interest you again just to remind you that in the last election there were delegates selected from across local governments or wards for the primaries. Now, some of these delegates were paid to actually vote at primary level, but it's funny because how vast of stakeholders to make decisions for other people. Now, how far is this going to go, and what can we do from there? How can we get officials to actually engage with that the current feedback, adequate feedback to the government? It needs to be a very engaged. Okay, Sapris, can you kindly move on to the next slide? All right, so having said that, communications and collaboration within the Cross River movement and the volunteer engagement, the volunteer teams would be carried out in these four ways. WhatsApp, which after now, a link will be created to enable the volunteers join the WhatsApp group, which is going to be central for volunteers for ease of communication and dissemination of general information, right? Then there's also Zoom, which is what we're using now. Zoom is going to be a platform for us to come back together, review, carry out reviews, feedback, and plan and assign tasks and assess what we have done so far. And then there's also Miro. Miro is a software that promotes collaboration and enables us to work together in the same space as though we are together in a physical space. So it's a whiteboard where you get to it's a canvas where you get to drop your ideas or your suggestions and things like that. So basically, I would say that the team members, the staff members, the staff community of TCRM and the art team heads would majorly be involved with using Miro for brainstorming. Then there's also Google Workspaces, Google Workspace is just like having your Microsoft, Excel, PowerPoint, and the rest. It's a platform that enables you complete tasks in real time and collaborate with others. You also get to create, save, and access documents online without having to lose them for whatever reason, just in case your system or device malfunctions. So you can actually access these platforms anywhere as long as you have access to a Gmail account. Okay, so that's that for communications. All right, so what would the next steps be? The next steps would be placements. Like we said, we're going to place volunteers according to the interest and the skills, and that's to, of course, enable effectiveness and efficiency, and also help our volunteers maximize in any possible. Then there'll be group meetings. Volunteers will come up with strategic approach on how they intend to measure and monitor the 4 elements of governance. Like we said earlier, we want to be able to give you that, or allow you that independence to take ownership of holding government to account, using TCRM as that platform, right? So we would allow you the independence and then still brainstorm with you, work together with you, support you to ensure that what you're doing is in line with best practice. And then the next step, we'll take it a step further to engagement. Volunteers will commence executing the steps and tasks as assigned. So moving forward from now, there'll be things that you'll be asked to do, or that you'll be assigned to do rather, or initiatives that when you come up with will be broken down into tiny bits, and of course get to take action on those ideas. So those are the next steps that we have moving forward. Okay, so in conclusion, like I've always said, I am particularly excited about the volunteer engagement program because it's been a long time coming. It's been a dream from last year, and to see that it's been implemented now is actually something to be excited about. So we would like to thank every one of you for choosing to volunteer with the Cross River movement. Yes, there are many other organizations outside there, but we know that what we're to the government of this time, and you're here to contribute and to support to our mission of improving the quality of governance in Cross River State. And we strongly believe, without a doubt, that together we can. And we encourage everyone to carry out the task, participate actively in all our activities, our virtual events, the publicity, marketing, community engagement, to encourage everyone to be participatory. Also, feel free to reach out to the management should you need any resource to support your work. We're here, we're available. We are willing and ready to support in any way that we can and that is necessary. Thank you so very much for being on the induction and onboarding today. And just to introduce the team to you, we have Mr. Esau Bassi, who is a founder of this great organization, the Cross River Movement. We have Edison Ebigrai, that's me talking with you right now, the executive assistant. And then we have Kennedy Omojefe, who newly joined our team, and we're so excited to have him as the programs manager. So we're all available and willing and ready to work with you, just as you have decided to work with us. We'll take questions moving forward, and please do well to follow us on our social media platforms. It's very important for all volunteers to do that ASAP, just to stay abreast with what's happening and to engage as well. I think I'll leave it here, maybe hand over to Mr. Bassi, or leave the platform open for everyone to ask questions. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mrs. Didium. Thank you everybody for joining. So if you have any questions, you can just put your hands up so that I'll call you to ask your question. I think the time for the a brief interactive section. Any question, clarification, or contribution that you have?